Hello and welcome, dear students. Today's lesson, Conquered Subject Verb Agreement, is the second lesson in the series, and it is slightly advanced. Though we will touch the very basic structure also, but in this lesson you are going to evaluate as per the rules of subject verb agreement or the rules of Concord. Let us begin. First of all, let us understand the meaning of the word concord. That means, as per the Oxford Dictionary, we use the word concord in everyday speech. It means agreement or harmony between people or groups. But when we talk about grammar, grammatically, it means agreement between two parts of a sentence. And specifically in this lesson, we are going to look at the agreement between the subject or and the verb. Now the basics of concord subject verb. Concord is when the subject of a sentence and the verb of a sentence agree. Now what do we mean by agree? Simply, if the subject of the sentence is singular, the verb must be singular. Now please be very mindful of this terminology used for verb, using the term singular or plural. Be very mindful of this while we are discussing the definition. If a subject of a sentence is plural, the verb must be plural. Usually we have studied noun as being singular and plural. For verb we have hardly heard of that. But over here, because we are using definition, we are using the word singular and plural for the verb also. As we come across, I'll point out. Now let us see a few examples, and you are requested to evaluate those sentences. We will be touching as many as 30 sentences or 30 examples to master Concord or to get a better idea of the practice. Now let us begin with the examples that are given to us. The pages over here, the pages represents the subject. The pages is held together by a staple, or the pages where the pages represent the subject, the pages are held together by a staple. I'm sure that this you will be able to give an answer or a reply very quickly. The pages are. Let us see whether we are right in our evaluation. The second sentence is correct because the subject pages and the verb are both plural. Now be mindful of the word plural used for the verb are. They agree. That means they are in concord. It was easy because the sentence is of a lower order. Now let us see something more challenging. I wouldn't use the term difficult, but little challenging. If you have been practicing it, you will now not find it very difficult. A phrase in between a subject and a verb. Now let us look at the sentence. The message between the lines is that we need to finish before Monday. The message between the lines are that we need to finish before Monday. Out of these two sentences, one sentence is correct and one is incorrect. Now let us evaluate what could be our subject. The message. The message seems singular. The message is that we need to finish before Monday. Then what are these words? Between the lines. Between is a preposition, the is an article, lines is a noun. So it is a prepositional phrase, I would say. So these prepositional phrase in between, yes, I remember the rule. The prepositional phrase which is in between, it does not disturb the agreement of verb with its subject. So let us see whether the message between the lines is that we need to finish before Monday is correct or incorrect. And another one, let us just point out and evaluate and eliminate it if it is wrong. The message, as I have understood that the message is the subject and between the lines, this is the prepositional phrase. It is ending with an S. Lines are that we need to finish before Monday. A general tendency is that children tend to look at the word which is very close to the verb and declare it either right or wrong. But one has to look at the subject. Over here the subject is very clearly stated that the message. So according to me, this sentence number 3 seems correct and the sentence number 4 seems incorrect. Now let us see the answer key. What is stated? The temptation here is to look at the word in front of the verb, that is plural lines, and choose the verb that agrees with the plural, that is wrong. Yes, sentence number 4 is wrong. The subject of the sentence is not lines, it is message. So because the subject message is singular, we use the singular verb is. So the phrase between the lines is the prepositional phrase starting with the preposition. That is why it is not the subject of the sentence. So what we have evaluated, sentence number 3 is correct and sentence number 4 is incorrect. Let us proceed further and see our understanding. I think we are beginning to understand now subject and verb agreement. We have understood one singular subject agreeing to its verb, and we have also understood a subject with prepositional phrase which does not disturb the subject verb agreement. Now let us try your hand at this. The case of juice bottles are for the year-end party. Here the case represents the correct. The case of juice bottles are for the year-end party. The case of juice bottles is for the year-end party. Now according to me, if the case is the subject, of juice bottles is a prepositional phrase, and as we have understood that the case, the subject will agree with the verb. So the case are is incorrect. The case is for the year-end party. So I understand said that sentence number 5 seems incorrect and sentence number 6 seems correct. Now let me check whether I am right or I am wrong. The answer is sentence number 6. The correct answer is sentence number 6. That means the case, the subject agrees with the verb is. So sentence number 6 is correct. Case is singular and so the use of the verb is in agreement with it. Now let us proceed. The sentiment of our office is that our bonuses were measly this year. Measly means very miserly or very small this year. The sentiment in our offices. The subject seems quite long, but the sentiment is the subject. In our offices is the prepositional phrase. The sentiment is. And then let me look at the sentiment, the sentence number 8. The sentiments in our offices are. Sentiment in our offices are. According to me, sentence number 8 seems incorrect because the sentiment is the subject and there is no S in sentiment. So R is incorrect. So I will go with sentence number 7. The sentiment is. And in our houses, in our offices is a prepositional phrase, an extra piece of information given for the subject. So the sentiment in our offices is that our bonuses were measly this year. Sentence number 7 seems correct. Let us check. The correct answer is number 7. Sentiment is singular and the singular verb is agrees with it. Now so far so good. Let us see two subjects connected by either or neither nor. If you have two singular subjects that are connected by Either or, neither nor use the singular verb. Alright, let us see. Singular verb, that means the action will be done by any one person. There might be two subjects, but the action will be done by only one person. So that is why we take a singular verb. Now let us see. Neither Shibu nor Ted has the keys to the stationery cupboard. Neither Shibu nor Ted. So I'm talking about Shibu separately, Ted separately, and I'm saying neither, that means no one has it. So has seems more appropriate. Either Mary or Shanu is manning the info desk at the conference. Manning means being physically present on duty. According to me, sentence number 9 is also correct, and 10 is also correct. Why? Because neither nor, when I'm using that, I'm considering one subject at a time and I'm connecting it to the verb. Neither Shibu has the keys nor Ted has the keys. So when I'm reading it together, I say neither Shibu nor Ted has the keys to the stationery cupboard. So sentence number 9 is correct. When I say either, that means any one of them. So I say either Mary is manning the info desk at the conference, or Shibu is manning the info desk at the conference. When I combine these two sentences, I say either Mary or Shanu is manning the info desk at the conference. So according to me, both are correct. I believe this sentence was, even though you are discussing two people, only one of them singular is taking action. So the verb is singular. So that means above both the sentences are correct. And as I have read the sentences separately with one name and the remaining part of the sentence, that is the way to read it. And when you combine the two sentences, the common sentence will will remain as one, and both the subjects will get added in the sentence with neither nor and either or. Let us proceed. What do you do when one subject is plural and the other isn't? Now I believe it is becoming slightly challenging. Earlier we had seen two subjects connected with either and or either or, neither nor. Now let us see, one subject is singular, the other is plural. But it also depends where is it placed in the sentence. Neither Shibu, which is singular, nor the personal assistants, which is plural, have the keys to the stationery cupboard. Neither Shibu, which is singular, nor the personal assistants, which is plural, have the keys to the stationery cupboard. I understand from the sentence that when we say neither and nor, whichever word is closer to the verb, it will agree, the subject will agree with that verb. If the subject closer to the verb is many, the verb will go accordingly. For example, assistants are many, so I have used the word have. If it was the personal assistant, I should have used the word has. So the subject which is closer to the verb will be considered for subject verb agreement, and which is far away will not be considered. Either the stewards, which is plural, or Mary, which is singular, is manning the info desk at the conference. Now either the stewards or Mary, singular, is manning the info desk at the conference. Now according to the rule, whichever subject is closer to the verb, it should agree with the subject and verb agreement. Rule should apply. So Mary is singular, so is used. But we know that we do not construct sentences in this manner, where the plural is in the beginning and the singular is in the latter part of the sentence. So let us rework the example. See how the verb agrees with the subject closest to it. However, the second sentence sounds awkward, as I pointed out. So rather write the sentences like this: the second subject being plural, and then make the verb plural. Sentence number 12 should be rather be written as, let us see how sentence number 12 is rewritten as sentence number 13. Either Mary, okay, the singular one has come in the beginning, or the stewards are manning the info desk at the conference. Now it seems accurate. Why? Because the singular is present in the beginning and the plural or the group is present in the second part. So that is how the subjects to be arranged. Now let us see something more challenging. Two subjects connected by and. Two subjects connected by and. When you have two subjects connected by and, use the plural form of the verb. Tony and Joe are responsible for the exchange server. Tony and Joe are responsible. So two people are responsible, or if I have doubt, I can say Tony and Joe. I replace that with the pronoun they, and I try constructing the sentence. They are responsible for the exchange server. It makes sense. So I bring it back to Tony and Joe are responsible for the exchange server. Next example is Eliza and Ravi are our project managers. Eliza and Ravi are. So if I am doubtful, I will replace Eliza and Ravi with the pronoun they, and I'll try completing. They are our project managers. Yes, it makes sense. I bring the names back. Eliza and Ravi are our project managers. So that is one strategy of substituting with the pronoun to check how does it work. Now there are certain exceptions to the rule. There are two exceptions. Now listen very carefully. Earlier we had seen two subjects connected with the and it was taking are as the verb that agrees with it. Now let us see the exceptions. There are two exceptions. The first one, see number 13. That means number 13 was that number 13. Let us go back and check. That is, either Mary or the stewards are manning the info desk at the conference. Now we are considering the rule with and. Now when two are given, we replace the subject with one word and we try completing the sentence. Now Mary is a staff member and others are also staff members. So I replace the word Mary or other staff members with the word staff. The staff is manning the info desk at the conference. Now let us see the explanation. The first is when a compound subject connected with and is seen as a singular subject due to the popular use. Yes, I replaced it with the word staff. So I got the verb is in agreement with it. The second is when the subjects connected by and are the same person or entity. For example, sentence number 14, Tony and Joe are responsible for the exchange center. Now if I try considering two qualities, I say the honest and the reliable, and both the qualities represent one person. I can say the honest and the reliable is responsible for the exchange server, because both the qualities represent one person's quality. So I'm using the word is responsible for the exchange server. Next example is rice and fish is my favorite meal. Now why is the word is used over there? There the rule applies that rice and fish both belong to the same class or the same family, that is the food. So that is why rice and fish are considered as one. That food is my favorite meal. The creator and distributor of the software is Energysix Limited. The creator and distributor of the software. So these two qualities are mentioned of that one company only. So that is why is used. So that means when two subjects represent one entity, then the verb is. Now plural subjects that call for singular verbs. Plural subjects. Let us first understand the definition that is given over here. Use a singular verb when you have a subject that conveys a single unit of distance, time or money. Now over here, when we have certain units of measurement, it can be distance, it can be capacity, it can be time, it can be money. Now when we have these units of measurement, the rule, there is a standard rule for the same. For example, 95 rupees, it is considered as one subject. Total, it is considered as one subject. So 95 rupees is a great bargain for a SIM card. Next one, 100 kilometers. Now 100 kilometers, again it's a unit of measurement. Together it is considered as one subject. So it is the verb is a grueling daily commute. Now then we see time, 20 minutes. Together when we consider it as one subject, we take the verb is. 20 minutes is all I have to prepare for the meeting. We never say 20 minutes are, because it's a unit of measurement. Together it is taken as one subject or one entity. Let us proceed. Other subjects that call for singular verbs. Now make a note of all these words. Make a note of all these words. Each, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, somebody, nobody, someone, none and no one. These are known as indefinite pronouns. When you use indefinite pronouns, there is a rule that it is accordingly the verb is selected. For example, if you say each, the verb will point out to every singular person. When you say someone, it will point out to one singular person. Now let us look at the examples that we have. Each of our staff members. Each of our staff members. Now according to the context, it means the staff is a group and we are talking about every individual. That means every person, every single person present in that group. So each of our staff members, now the context is that we are talking about an individual. Each of our staff members has to fill in an evaluation form. So according to the context, we have to look at it very, very carefully. When the word each is mentioned, the verb, according to the rule, when each is mentioned, the verb that is taken is that of singular. Thus, each of our staff members, we say, has to fill in an evaluation form. A general tendency is to look at the members have to fill, which is incorrect. So kindly make a note of it. Learn these words by heart, that is each, everyone, everybody, anyone, anybody, somebody, nobody, someone, none, and no one. These will take a singular verb. Let us proceed further. Anyone, anyone who wants. If I remove the word who, anyone wants, it makes sense. Anyone who wants a day off in lieu of overtime, that means in place of overtime, must still fill out a leave form. Now, as per my rule, I go back to my rule. Anyone, is the word anyone used over there? Yes, anyone is used, so it will take a singular. So anyone who wants, we have seen that. I told you in the very beginning, the word singular verb and plural verb, be very mindful. Only remember the word with an S and the word without an S. So if it is singular, it will take S. Anyone who wants a day off in lieu of the overtime must still fill out a leave form. Proceeding further, someone has left a coffee cup on the glass of the coffee machine. How annoying, as per the context. Now let us look at the structure. Someone, now it's again an individual. That individual has, we will never say have, because we are talking about someone as one person. Someone has left a coffee cup on the glass of the photocopy machine. Next, last in this category is none of us. None of us, if you are doubtful, break it into no one. No one. No one of us. So us is a big lot, a group of people, and you are talking about this single person, but in the negative context. So no one or none. That is how the word is understood. No, none of us wants. That means no individual wants. Again, we'll go to the same context. Anyone wants, no one wants. Anyone wants, no one wants. The same structure. No one wants to admit. None of us wants to admit. It makes sense. None of us wants to admit to being behind on filing. Now, a general tendency is none of us want, which is incorrect. Remember the rule, none will take a verb which will have S. Let us proceed. Subjects that are collective nouns. Now be mindful of the words. The words convey different meanings. The board wants to make the decision by next Thursday. Over here, board is one single entity. It might contain a number of people, but it is a single entity. So again, for a single, we take the verb which has got S. The staff is in a meeting. The staff, the entire big lot, is considered as one big crowd, which is single entity. Single. So we use the verb is in a meeting. The team which comprises of a number of people, the team is considered as one. So we say that the team is due to fly out today. Now the explanation is the board, the staff, the team are made up of individual members, but each forms a collective singular subject. That means it is a singular subject, this is also a singular subject, and the team is also a singular subject. Thus the singular verb is used. Singular verb, I told you, the verb with an S is called a singular verb. The verb is used with singular. Now let us proceed further. Be careful not to make the mistake though that the singular verb is used. The staff is in a meeting to discuss their appraisals. Now the staff is in a meeting to consider their appraisals. Now look at the conflict in this sentence. The staff is. Now from the verb we can make out the staff is considered as one big body. The staff is in a meeting to discuss their. That means there are many people. Now this seems to give some kind of conflict. This kind of construction should be avoided. Now we have a singular subject staff. The singular verb is but the plural there in the same sentence, which is causing some kind of conflict. Let us reframe the sentence. To improve the concord, let us rewrite the sentence as the staff is in a meeting to discuss appraisals. We have dropped the pronoun there. Now it makes sense. The staff members are in a meeting to discuss their appraisals. Now the change you can see, if you still want to use the word pronoun there, the staff members, we brought one extra word members over here. Now the structure has changed a bit. The word members is the noun over here. Staff has become the adjective. The staff members together is the subject in this sentence. Now the staff members, of course, then it will take are in a meeting to discuss their appraisals. It will make sense. An additional pointer, the word jury. The jury is divided in opinion, and the jury are divided in opinion. It is for evaluation, and the answer is that both are correct. Why? Because the context is different. That means the meaning is different. If you consider the jury as one body, a committee, then you say is divided in opinion. But when you say the jury and you think of the people that are the part of the jury, when you think of the people as individuals, you say the jury are divided in opinion. I hope this was quite helpful to you, and if you are new on the channel, kindly subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you receive the notification when I upload the video. And the students are requested to like the video so that it gets added up in their liked playlist, and the students are able to refer these notes when they are appearing for their tests and examinations. Thank you very much for your precious time.